This is a Louie Tee Network exclusive.
For those of you who don't know, I'm Louie Tee, host of the Louie Tee Network, and this is One Burning Question, a series that will take a look at all 32 teams in the National Football League and pose a question. Some teams will have micro questions where we look at the team in its current state and talk about what could potentially happen for them in this season, and some will take a macro approach where we kind of open up the lens a bit and take a step back and look at it from a wide view look and perspective and talk about where these franchises might be going in the future, not just this season, but moving forward. So I'll take a look at each and every single team, ask a burning question, answer that question, and move on to the next team. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy One Burning Question. Welcome to this In the Lab Room exclusive series, One Burning Question. I, of course, am your host, Louie Tee. Thank you for joining me on this program. Today we're talking about the Miami Dolphins, and it was a tumultuous season for the Dolphins. I thought they had a tremendous offseason. They stockpiled this team with a bunch of talented football players, but the trick isn't going out and getting talented football players. It's getting those talented football players to all be on one accord and getting them to gel and mesh together fast enough so that you see the dividends on the field being paid off. And you just never got that in Miami this season. And I was never a Joe Philbin guy. And the fact that he was back to start this season, I thought wasn't really the best move for the Dolphins. But if the Dolphins thought that he was the guy and Stephen Ross wanted to give him another crack at it, so be it. It didn't work. Dolphins got off to a rough start this season, and they went over to London, got embarrassed by the Jets, and so was the ending of the chapter known as head coach Joe Philbin. He was dismissed. They promoted tight ends coach Dan Campbell to the head coaching position as the interim head coach, and you just knew this season didn't have much of anything left after that happened. Generally, when you make in-season coaching changes, nothing good comes of that. And so you kind of saw the writing on the wall for this Dolphins team with all this talent, which was the most frustrating thing about the way the season had gone. But let's ask the one burning question for the Miami Dolphins. Can the Miami Dolphins franchise find the right head coach to be a leader of men? And I look at the Dolphins, and for the longest time, I've said to myself, this team lacks that guy that is the voice of reason, the one that can get these players to want to run through a wall for him. And it's a situation now where in the past you said, the Dolphins aren't as talented, and so it really doesn't matter who the head coach is unless you got a great head coach like a John Fox and the staff that he has out of Chicago. You're not going to get the most out of this roster because there's just not enough talented football players. Well, that's not the case anymore. You could say that back in the day when they had Bill Parcells' disciple, you know, the old offensive line coach as your head coach. Those Dolphins teams weren't very talented. But with Joe Philbin, you started to see this team gain steam and traction as far as talent is concerned. And they started to make some really shrewd moves. Once they got rid of Jeff Ireland, I thought, okay, this thing's going in the right direction. They're getting some very talented football players on this football team, and they're utilizing them. You felt like the problem was everybody went on the same page. And a lot of that stemmed from the head coach. You just felt like there were too many changes being made. Offensive coordinators being fired, defensive coordinators being fired. And when that stuff is happening, when you're having change like that, and you don't have your quarterback who's a young quarterback in the league being comfortable in a system that fits and suits him, and he's got to continuously learn new terminology and new playbooks, it's rough on a young quarterback. And we've seen that with Tannehill throughout his time in Miami thus far. He's going to have another offensive coordinator in the offseason when they get a new head coach, and it's going to be another offense he's going to have to learn, and that's got to be frustrating for a guy like Ryan Tannehill. But whatever happens, this team needs to find a head coach that's not only a good head coach. Like, he doesn't need to just be a good head coach that's a good X's and O's guy that brings in a comparable and competent staff. No, he needs to be a leader of men as well. There are a lot of alpha males in this locker room, a lot of dominant personalities, mainly in Ndamukong Suh, that need to be put in check. And they need to know whose locker room this is. And he needs to be a leader of men, someone that the guys in that locker room can gravitate towards and want to play for and want to run through a brick wall for. You haven't had that in Miami in a very long time. And it's time for them to go out and have a great coaching search and find the right guy. Comb through all of the applicants for this job and settle in on the one guy that you think can come in and not only coach them up, but be a leader of men. They desperately need that in this Dolphins locker room. There are talented football players littered all over this roster. Now they need a guy that can come in, maximize the talent on this team, but more importantly, galvanize this group of men and get them to play for one common purpose and goal. And I think if they can find that head coach, that will fast track this Dolphins team to a winning record and maybe, just maybe, give them a shot to compete in the AFC East against the big bad New England Patriots. So I'll read the one burning question once more. Can the Miami Dolphins franchise find the right head coach to be a leader of men? They need an X's and O's guy that can come in and put these talented football players in the right position to make plays. You went out and traded for Kenny Stills. I didn't think he was utilized well this season at all. You look at Jarvis Landry. I love how you guys move him around and use him as a chess piece. He's in the slot, he's in the backfield, he's out wide, he's in motion, he's getting jet sweeps. He's touching the football in a number of different ways, and that's cute, that's nice. But you also have other weapons on this team. Lamar Miller, Monday Night Football, to me, this is the epitome of what's wrong with the Dolphins right now. Guy has 10 carries for 80 yards, dominating the Giants. He's got your first 2 touchdowns of the game. He looks like he's going to be well on his way to 150, 170, maybe a 200-yard night. And in the second half, 2 touches, 2 yards. He doesn't see the football anymore. And Ryan Tannehill slings it 41 times in a loss. What was the basis for that? Why'd you stop running the football? You have weapons on this team. Lamar Miller, talented football player. We see the emergence of Jay Ajayi. There are talented football players on this team that need the football. Your tight end position, I think, is very talented. Deion Sims needs to focus more. He can be a threat. We know about what your free agent acquisition at the tight end position brings to the table. And so there are a number of different guys that you can throw the football to and have them make plays. It's just about spreading the wealth, getting everyone comfortable in that new scheme that you will have, and having this defense play as one. And I think that's where you need to focus a lot of your attention in the offseason as far as drafting players and going out in free agency and maybe bringing in a player or two. It's on the defensive side of football. You need more help there. You're getting old at corner. Brent Grimes isn't the guy that he used to be in Miami. The safety position is good. It's not great. I think that you could use some more help along your linebacking core. And you just need to start seeing guys play for one another. I don't think you're getting that in Miami right now. And there's some finger pointing going on. And that's where the leader of men cleans up. He comes in, he makes sure that everyone's accountable, and he makes sure that everyone's playing for one another. And I think that's what the Dolphins need the most. An X's and O's guy that can come in, bring a great staff with him, that can get this team moving in the right direction, but more importantly, can galvanize this locker room and have these guys playing for one another for one common purpose, one common goal, on one accord. If the Dolphins can do that, they'll fast track themselves in this AFC East division, leapfrog a few teams, and compete with the New England Patriots for AFC East supremacy. That's the Miami Dolphins and their one burning question. I'm Louie Tee. See you next time.